All right, everybody, welcome back to Off the Grid on the Record. Today, I'm joined by Simon Groom, CEO and co-founder of MagnifyB. It's a really interesting platform that blends consulting and technology to help small businesses grow. What I love about the story is how he and his co-founder, David, took their consulting background and turned it into a SaaS platform during COVID, a fun time that we all remember. So in doing so, they've created something pretty unique for small business owners who often get left behind in the tech space. So Simon, great to have you here. How are things in the UK today?
Fantastic. Thank you, Yarek. It's good morning to you and good afternoon to me and anyone else in the UK, of course. Really good. It's a nice day and looking forward to having a chat with you. Yes.
That's amazing. No, we appreciate you coming on because we have a lot of things to cover and a lot of interesting ideas that you guys obviously come up with that we need to expand on and explain to people. So, I mean, let's start from the beginning. I mean, what's the story behind MagnifyB? How did the idea come together for, you and David during COVID?
Yeah, great question. And quite an interesting answer, to be fair, because I guess about 5 years ago, we sat down during COVID, my co-founder and I, David. My background's a management consultant by trade. David is a chartered management accountant. And we happened to be working together as consultants. And we just sat in a hotel, obviously a distance apart during COVID, and decided that one of the problems we'd been having for a while was that small businesses couldn't achieve the success that they needed to achieve, and they were falling by the wayside. And what we found is that the answer was really something around SaaS, so software as a service. And we knew this, but we'd been still kind of victims of the standard approach to consultancy for quite a while. And anyway, we decided to test the theory, and we moved on from there to creating wireframes, then a product, and then got that out to users to do the testing. So it's been an interesting journey, and all really born of that need to help small businesses in an affordable way.
That's amazing. I mean, you said you're more of a business guy than a tech guy, right? So, I mean, how has that shaped the way you've built MagnifyB?
Actually, that's been a real boost for us. I mean, one of the things that I come across so much, and I'm quite heavily involved in the tech community in the northwest of England. The thing for me is that I keep seeing people who've got wonderful ideas, great products, amazing tech, not necessarily delivering to a need. So I came from the opposite direction, so did my business partner. And we just said, look, we understand the need, we understand the consultancy, we understand the absolute complementary service that we can offer to fit in with what's out there as well, but boost the chances of success. So it really helped us coming not from a technical background. We're aware of the tech and we learn more every day, of course, particularly around AI. But yeah, it's been a real boost, and people are asking us, okay, for advice around how they do those things because they're not really used to doing that if they're from a tech background.
Fair enough. And then now, since kind of know where it comes from, what does it do? Explain it as if I was a 12-year-old kid just trying to understand what it is that, this product can actually do and how the software operates.
So we have an initial strap line, which is mission control for business or mission control for business success, two different ones. What we actually mean by that is we can help you make and save money. So it's doing three core things, the actual product itself. It takes your data from the likes of Xero, QuickBooks, and other accounting packages seamlessly every morning without you knowing it. So once you've signed up to it, it's there every time you open it up from, say, 4, 5, 6 a.m. And that'll be stuff that's changed perhaps from the day before, week before, whatever it might be when you last updated. Once we've got that, we tend to do several things with it. So we play it back to you in the form of dashboards. We ask you questions about what you know, where you're up to with your business, what your business does, what you do, what your goals are, all those kind of things, very simply, and in a way that the smallest and businesses up to 50 staff could understand. And then what we do is to play that back in terms of comparisons. So we benchmark you against similar companies in similar regions, geography, sector, wherever it might be. Then we give you a learning platform. And the reason for that learning platform, it's not about teaching you how to be an accountant or a marketeer. It's about showing you how to understand that part of the business or all of the business as well as the bits you may know. And it just shows you a way of understanding that bit, why it's important to that bit, why your business won't thrive without it, what you need to do next. And then we have built through and copyrighted 3 what-if scenario planners or what-if calculators. That's the ability for you to move a few little bits of sliders and things to say, what's the impact of making small changes? So that's what MagnifyB does. It gives you the chance to succeed in a very affordable way. And it's hand in hand with your accountant, your advisor, your coach, your consultant, whatever it might be. That's how we operate.
That's amazing. And I think one of the things that we talked about earlier was, how does MagnifyB's model differ from traditional consulting services?
Yeah, so we kind of, there are two parts to this. One is that we are bringing large company approaches and methodologies to small businesses in an affordable and easy to use way. So that's the first thing that's very different to what you may get with consultants. I could talk to you all day about Ansoff matrices and everything else. For 30 years, I've done those things. They're irrelevant mainly for very small businesses. So what we do is to say, well, let's keep this really, really simple first. And it's not absolutely not that small business owners and such are not intelligent. Of course they are. Obviously, honestly, far more than a lot of the big company people I've worked with in the past. The point is, it's a very different approach. So what we say is, right, let's start out by giving you something you can use to see the trends, the analysis of your business, where you were last year, where you are this year versus last year, whatever it might be. Those things that absolutely will give you a chance to make decisions. So that's the difference with what we have at the moment. And again, we charge, in terms of the UK, it's £47 per month, which is, just a few dollars really, isn't it? And at the end of the day, we're trying to create an environment that gets people to the next stage, not a consultative approach as such, but it is an AI-driven advisor. So it's really getting you to the point where you can say, now I understand why all this fits together and why I've not succeeded. I can go and find the expert and work with them. That's the idea.
Fair enough. And I mean, that kind of plays into the perspective switch that, we've talked about. I mean, what's the biggest change in how small businesses are using tech today compared to a few years ago?
Yeah, there's a real mix there, to be honest, in the UK particularly, Yarek, but I do study North America and the rest of Europe as well. The UK specifically, we've got a big reluctance to embrace a lot of tech, particularly AI, of course. And it's the usual, as you hear, the fear of, something's going to take over the world, it's going to be Terminator again, and that kind of stuff, which is, as we know, is kind of nonsense in a way. But what we find is when people start to understand it, the shift at the moment, this is the last 3 or 4 months particularly, has been to try to understand. So for small businesses, at least try to understand how AI can help. So when they start to see their colleagues, their competitors using AI to support back office stuff or whatever it might be. I've got a colleague who specializes in AI sims. They're amazing. It's taking it to the next stage, producing AI agents that will support you with specific things in your business. I think it does it for you, even down to the fact they can, I could be one now, we're having a conversation with you and recording things at the same time. So that's when we're seeing a bit of a shift. But I do know that at the rest of Europe, there's a little bit more take up on this and people are understanding a great deal more about how you can supplement a big percentage of your business in terms of the lower level tasks particularly. So yeah, we're seeing the shift.
Amazing. I mean, speaking of that, are there certain industries that are quicker to adopt platforms like MagnifyB than others?
Yeah, I mean, as you would imagine. So let's leave tech out of it because that, of course, everybody says, oh, we need to be AI straight away. There are, I mean, to be fair, the likes of the ones that are not are things like retail, engineering, some manufacturing, of course, but the smaller stuff, if they're small manufacturers, they're reluctant to accept that. The ones that are interestingly starting to embrace this, which is a bit of a shock in a way, are around professional services. So accounting, law firms, that kind of thing. It's starting to show that they're all considering it. So I got a meeting tomorrow with a law firm who are absolutely blown away by what we do. Now, I don't think a law firm is going to be a fantastic channel partner for us to link us to other SMEs, small businesses. But actually, they want to look at it using it themselves. They've got people they know, they want to put us in touch, but they just loved it. So I think in terms of AI with professional services, a bit of a shock for me, but they're starting to embrace it.
Fair enough. And I mean, I think that falls under what, like advisors, accountants, even what consultants for small businesses. How is AI and automation reshaping their roles and their professional?
So I think if you take the accountancy specifically, because that's one of our main target markets, they're finding, of course, that people are coming to them saying, well, I need this support, need this advice. However, I've got this tool that does part of it for me and everything else. So they're finding that they have to scrabble around to see what tools are out there to be able to support their clients better. And actually, more than that, what they're finding, and they're coming back to me telling me this, they like the idea of MagnifyB and things like it that can attract customers. So customers are thinking now, a lot of them are anyway, okay, well, I want to use it. So what have you got that's going to support me in a more affordable and urgent way? And in terms of urgent, I mean kind of response. Because if you talk to your accountant, honestly, previously, let's say the last 3 or 4 years, it would be perhaps days or weeks before you get a response with something specific. Whereas what they're now saying is, well, actually, our AI, our platform, our app can do X for you straight away. And then after that, we'll come back and have discussions. We're finding that's the positive.
Fair enough. I mean, what kind of feedback have you been getting so far on version 1.1 since it's launched then? Because I think that's what most people want to hear.
Yeah, it is. It is. So we're about just under 8 weeks in at the moment. Feedback, 2 key things, which is great. So one is, and we know this, one is that it's comprehensive. Now that's a good and a bad thing, because obviously it's a good thing that it covers lots of things and it gives you an end-to-end solution. But actually it's a bad thing in that what that means, some people are finding it a little bit complex. So that's fine. And we knew that, and we're building the next bit to say, this is a very simple part first. You want to know more, go on to this and move that round. But the very positive thing about this is they're telling us that they wish they'd have had it years ago, especially those who started a business several years ago and really got only a tiny way. They're saying, if I'd have had this 2 years, 3 years ago, whatever it might be, this would have changed my way of working. So I think it's a shift in their thinking, the way of working, the way they're working with others. The other positive thing, which is really good for us, it's making people think about and look at their data. So, someone who's maybe a plumber, electrician, or tradesman, whatever it is, they're not necessarily going to be thinking that they've got data, or use data, what it means, management information, management accounts. But actually, when they start to see it, they recognize the value, and they're saying, I'm going to look at what I've got now and see whether that stuff in Xero, QuickBooks, wherever it might be, is positive or it's wrong or it's right, and then talk to my accountant. So it's actually helping that conversation as well.
That's amazing. And I mean, have those conversations been expanded through partners like, I think you told me Action Coach, right? Like, how have partners like Action Coach and other accountants specifically responded to the platform in terms of the usability, the interface? I mean, what kind of feedback do you get from there? Because I know it's definitely difficult to to build something kind of in the dark and hope it gets adopted.
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, I guess, yeah, sorry, you go ahead.
So we've got, so in terms of Action Coach, so our relationship with Action Coach is with nationally in the UK, and also with 3 of their coaches who are testing the system for us. We've had great conversations. They've told us that what the systems they have are far more expensive than MagnifyB and deliver less than MagnifyB does. And actually, we've got bits in the platform that no one else currently delivers in the way we do it, which is very useful. So that's a really good one. But of course, that's on the coaching side. So in terms of accounting, particularly, so we've got some very good and very large institutional accounting firms that have sprung up over the past decade or more and kind of taken over the UK and internationally. And they've been telling us that, they want to wait for version 2 with full-blown AI and everything else, which is what we're building now. But actually, what they see is a massive opportunity to change the environment in which they operate. And one particular thing is, again, about attracting customers. So they recognize that, one organization we're talking to have got 200,000 customers. So, they know that if they've got the right tools, which are going to be AI supported, then they're going to retain and get more customers. So they're all telling us they can see the value in this. So one meeting last week was with an accountancy that's in the top 20 to 30 in the UK. And they, again, were blown away by it. The comments we get are fantastic, and genuinely they are. And they say, this is groundbreaking, it's game-changing. These are the phrases they've used, not us. And I think what we find is what they really mean by that is it's just giving them a very simple way of dealing with their customers early on, giving absolute value or adding value straight to them, and then saying, right, well, this then gives us the foundation, which is firmer to work with. That's the feedback so far.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. I mean, especially when you hear such good things, it probably wants to propel you further. But the one thing is, explaining such a complex thing in so few words is definitely not the easiest task. So how do you market this? How is this getting, in front of people, and how are people finding out about it?
It is difficult, and you've got to remember that, because we've only been out for 7.5 weeks or so, we've been warming the market up, but not getting straight out there with the marketing as such. That's due to happen September, October. And August in the UK is typically very, very quiet anyway. The way we've been doing this so far is to use mainly our existing contacts to get to the point we are now. And we've got 60 odd accounting firms mainly in the pipeline that we've been discussing, some of which can give us, 50 to 100 clients, some can give us 200,000 clients. So it could be a very big or small thing. What we've done is to go to them and keep them warm, build the relationships, show them that we're about to release the version they probably want to have. So let's say, it's going to be 2 to 3 months now, but let's say some October, November time, we should have that full-blown AI version that a lot of them want. And we're just keeping them engaged. Various events, we try and book and support and sponsor some of the bigger ones when we can in the UK. We'll be doing that internationally shortly. We want to try and make sure that, again, we've got a range of advocates. So what I do is I've got quite a few individuals now over the last few months, particularly, who are running or part of, their responsibilities running accounting firms, who will say, oh, you need to look at MagnifyB. And then we've got membership organizations and local authority councils in the UK, etc., who are promoting it as well. So that's where we've gone so far. And what we're going to do is ramp that up over the next few months.
That's amazing. And I like this question because it kind of makes you think ahead. So it's kind of a two-parter, but what makes you think about scaling? And then what's the toughest bottleneck you've had to navigate so far in order to do that?
So the whole concept was designed with scalability in mind. So we had an exit strategy from the second we started this, knowing that was the way it should be for this. It lends itself to such a market where we can get what they call the hockey stick curve, of course, if we do this right. And as we do that, we've got people watching us already in terms of potential buyers in the future. So that's one of the big things. So scalability was always built in. We're built on Microsoft's Azure platform, be scalable at any size, any type, any time. We've made sure that everything we use in terms of the technology is absolutely scalable as well. And even now, because it's been 4 years or 3 years and been a bit years in the making, we've just upgraded some of the stuff that was done then to make sure it's cutting edge. We're applying cutting edge AI technology, so it's agentic. It's not, just paying lip service to it, using the proper tools to make sure we can scale. And the UK, the challenge has been around funding. So the UK is a strange place at the moment in terms of finding fundraising or finding investment. And it's equity investment we were looking for. Obviously, we're only just out in the market, so we can't attract what, we call debt funding. It's around, percentage of the company for X. In the UK, the way it's structured, there's a gap. There's always been a gap. There's a bigger gap now than ever. It's a challenging one. I'm quite vocal about it. I do a lot of talks on it. I've been to shows where I've been asked to chair meetings and things and events. And I say the same thing. Look, there's a problem here. We need to address it. There are some in between. Not many. I'm finding them. Luckily, had one yesterday. Fingers crossed. Fantastic company who want to jump on board with us. But I think that's the challenge in the UK. Internationally, when it comes to scalability, I don't think we have those same problems. So we've had a quick chat about North America. We've got Spain and one or two of the European countries interested. We've got Singapore on the hook already. Australia are talking to us. They've got less of an issue with finding the funding to do what they want. But actually, if we do that here in the UK already, or maybe in North America shortly, we would then have an easy platform to promote anywhere else. And the language, not a problem. Of course, AI deals with any language. So we know already we're starting to look at that in terms of internationalization. If it's going across Asia in the future, whatever it might be from the Singapore base, that's going to be quite a simple one. But again, English first, and then we'll see where we go.
Fair enough. I like that. I mean, I think there's definitely a vision for it. And where you are now, this is also another fun one. You're getting a lot of them today, but if you could wave a magic wand and fix one thing in the business that's, something that either is stalling growth or something that you would just, love to get rid of, what would that be?
So, we've had a chat about this in the past. So my magic wand waving moment would be around the original tech development. It was a huge problem for us. We chose the wrong partner. We had endless trouble. It came down to quite a non-amicable exit, I suppose is the best way to describe it. And actually, we've had to pick up the pieces and remotely do that again until we brought the team in-house. So we've had a bit of a nightmare with that. And I've got to admit, I've talked to a lot of people and they've all said the same thing. So, sometimes outsourcing is absolutely the right thing. Sometimes it really isn't. It appears with innovative, brand new tech builds, it's very often not the case that it's a good idea. So it's a shame. And some people might say, oh, no, it's definitely a good thing. And I know some fantastic outsource organizations, but unfortunately, the one we dealt with turned out not to be that, which is what we hoped they would be. So, that would be my magic wand moment.
Fair enough. And I mean, thinking about that, what are the metrics that keep you up at night as you're building this? I mean, what are the things that you look at the most and that's kind of your North Star?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, we've got the biggest metric is the funding. So again, we've got, and again, yesterday was a prime example. So we're looking at the first year is going to be 5 to 10,000 users, we hope, and the second year then exponentially. We just had 2 discussions in one day, the potential for 7 to 8,000 users. So, there's a real opportunity. So my metric at the moment is around getting the money to be able to support that. So that side of it should be okay. And of course, that generates revenue. So of course, we might find that we don't need as much investment if we get that right away. Well, these things take time. So, it's been, the metric is still, I need to find some money. I need to find someone who wants to be a part of this and take it forward. So everybody seems to love it, which is great. But then when you ask people to put the money in, it's a different conversation. And not saying it's not there, it's just difficult to find. So at the moment, that's the metric. What it will be very shortly is absolutely scaling. So, once we get 1 or 2 of these bigger players on board who want to buy those kind of licenses, we've then got to say, okay, now it's real. Let's make sure we can do that times 10.
That's huge. And I mean, I know this is half of what you were talking about, but I don't want to jump too far in the future. But where do you see Magnify being in the next 12 months, both in the UK, but also maybe internationally?
Yeah, so we have an 18-month plan, which kind of began roughly 2 months ago. So March is our financial year end, but we began about 2 months ago because we got things in place. So we've got an 18-month plan, which includes internationalization, which of course means that we start with the English side, but then we move on to other things. We have a plan to look at North America after March next year. So, we're looking at maybe 10 months, and we'll be doing that. At the most, maybe 8 months, just depends on how soon we get to do that. Because we know there's a market, we know there's opportunities, and we know it fits that market as well with the SMBs as it is in North America. And I think the other part of it is we've already got the Singapore relationship. We need to boost that, need to re-engineer that, because we had it a while ago and we put it on pause while we re-engineered the platform. So that's the next thing as well. And it's mostly English speaking for the moment, and it's mostly UK law that applies. So again, it's not such a difficult thing to get that out there. Then we've got to consider, which we are doing now, multiple skins, if you like, for the platform. So, it would be a different look for different countries. It's a different, apart from the language, it's obviously sometimes different content. We're looking at how we do that. So that'll be then from, say, April, May next year onwards, we'll be looking at changing that for different countries as well.
It's incredible. I love that. I was going to ask what the big initiative or big upgrade you're most excited to launch this year is, but I think you kind of stepped into that. Is there anything else that you throw under that umbrella?
I think so. So we've got to remember that at the moment we've got as much of but limited AI within the system purposely because we want to get this right. And I mentioned, I think last time we spoke, so we're lucky to have in the UK, there's a leading light, as they call it, in supercomputing and AI called the Hartree Centre in the Northwest. We happen to be based next door to them, and we're actually working with them, and some of their virtual engineering centre are supporting our build. So we're looking to make sure that our big thing is, here's the AI, the complete thing. It's agentic, it's got agents, it's got providing actionable insights. It's doing all the stuff we want as well as being conversational. So I think what we'll find is you will see hopefully a version, maybe 2.1 or whatever, which you can talk to like you would do with ChatGPT and everything else. And it'll discuss your journey for your business and how you want to go through the next part of the future. We'd like to introduce that in the next 12 to 18 months.
Of that. And then for your last 12 to 18 months, what's been the biggest personal learning curve for you in moving from consulting to SaaS?
That's a really good question, actually, because firstly, it has been a huge learning curve. I'm very honest when it comes to what I know and what I don't know. One of the strap lines we use is, you don't know what you don't know. So I'm just the same. And what I've found is, for me, being able to apply all the consultative and the services-based approaches I've built over the last nearly 30 years is great. But this is a very different business. So I'm not selling services. I'm not selling people or a person or anything else. It's, okay, this is in a way, it's a volume business. So we're looking, I've been shifting, which has been good. We're looking to engage with people who've got 5, 10, 20, 50,000 clients. It's very different to, okay, we'll provide X number of days a consultancy to make that business get to that stage and measure it in that way. So the measurements and the way you look at the complete set of metrics and, can we guarantee that a business will grow? Well, we've got evidence that using these tools will make you grow, but there's no guarantee. And I'm thinking, okay, well, it's not a personal thing. And the other part of it is, of course, that it's not me. So again, my career has been to a point where people recognize me and they understand what I've done. I'm fairly senior in my field, etc. I've had some big roles. That doesn't matter here. It does when you're talking maybe to an investor, because we're the founders, but it doesn't matter when you're delivering a service, a system like this, which is software as a service. And I find that was an interesting curve for me to get around, just to say, okay, you're not buying Simon here, you're buying MagnifyB.
Exactly. I mean, that's huge. I mean, we talked about a little bit on what the purchasing power of some of the investors are and what they focus on. Have you ever thought about coming to North America and just getting investment here and then using that as your way of expanding and growth?
So very much so. So it's interesting because I've recently rekindled the relationships and conversations with family we have in Canada. So both over in Calgary, Okotoks, and in Vancouver and Vancouver Island. And the reason is that some of my family have very strong ties into government, into larger businesses and other things. So I've just been talking to them about, what the market is like. But yeah, I absolutely recognize that, there's probably a lot more potential in North America. So I've literally got a couple of weeks to see whether the discussions we've just had become fruitful in the UK with the money. And if they don't, I'm already warming up contacts. I'm looking for more contacts within North America because, let's face it, it's not just about the fact that the market is bigger. There's a bigger appetite for things like this already in North America, and we can see that. The UK is getting there, but it's too slow. So yeah, absolutely.
That's huge. Well, Simon, this has been a fantastic conversation. I think a lot of people listening, especially small business owners and consultants, are going to resonate with the challenges and opportunities that you've talked about and really shared with us. So, I mean, for those who want to learn more about MagnifyB or even get their hands on the platform, where's the best place for them to find you online?
So I think the simplest thing to do would be either to look for our website, which is, by the way, just a holding website for now because the platform is elsewhere, which is obviously MagnifyB.com. So the word magnify, letter B.com. But actually, we also have a YouTube channel, but you can see that from there. Or just email us at contact@magnifyb.com and we'll respond and give you the links.
That's fantastic. Well, to everyone tuning in, thanks for spending time with us. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to check out the rest of our conversations on YouTube, Spotify, or honestly, wherever you get your podcasts, because we'll be back soon with more stories from the people pushing boundaries in tech, energy, and business. So Simon, thanks again for joining and good luck with everything you're building at MagnifyB.
Thank you, Yarek. It's been a pleasure.